say, Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. We don't even mention sin, because we begin the new year with a positive foot forward. We begin the new year understanding that it's the beginning, and we want to get it right from the beginning. Many follow minhagim to observe mitzvos during the Aseres Yemei Tshuva, and to observe those mitzvahs with special hidurim, with special chumras. Even hidurim and chumras that they're not going to use, that they're not going to practice the entire rest of the year, but they do it on Rosh Hashanah at this beginning of the year, in order to entrench this message of getting it right at the beginning. We show HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the beginning that we want to get it right. And so that's another message about marriage. That here we are, we're at the Vort, and when you're at a Vort, and we move forward with God's help towards the wedding, and people describe this Shana Rishona, right, which the Chumash sort of mentions and has been, the Chumash mentions it, but it's enhanced and celebrated more in today's contemporary society. That when we have all these concepts at the beginning, because a chassan and kala needs to realize that now you're creating the trajectory for the rest of your life. Now these steps that you take at the beginning, just like the beginning of the year of Rosh Hashanah, these steps that you take at the beginning, these are the first steps in the rest of your life. And so the moves that you make in interrelating with each other's families, in the planning and in the process and everything, all of these things, when we put our first right foot forward, then with God's help, everything that follows will also be positive. So we have forgiveness on one side, a fundamental of marriage, and a good beginning, investing in the beginning, the other fundamental of marriage. And I want you to know, in closing, I want to say that I had this experience actually with Yiska and Mosheh. It's very fascinating. I just only recently met Yiska. And Yiska immediately, and I think it's true about Mosheh also, perhaps in a different way, but Yiska immediately made a positive impression on me. In my first meeting with her, in my first few minutes with her, I was so taken and impressed by this young woman. And I said it to Mosheh the next day, and Mosheh was taken and impressed with this young woman. Right from the beginning. She made such a positive first impression. Such a smile, such a shine in the first impression. And it reminded me of Rosh Hashanah. And Mosheh, normally it would be embarrassing to say this, but I must say, Mosheh and I know that this is a testament to the quality of our relationship. Even Yiska knows this already. You want to know the truth? When Mosheh and I first met, it didn't go so great. Okay? That's the truth. Okay? That's the truth. It didn't go so great. Okay? And yet, in a very short amount of time after that, we together, and it was my fault that it didn't go so great, and this is a testament to Mosheh, we sought to rehabilitate our not so great beginning, and then Baruch Hashem, over the time that we've known each other for the many months, from the time when he was in my shir and beyond, we've had, Baruch Hashem, tremendous opportunity not only to have a new good beginning, but like every case of forgiveness, we have an even stronger relationship because of the experience of forgiving that we began with. And so I had the positive impression with Yiska, positive impression, but that needed a little bit of rehabilitation, Yom Kippur rehabilitation with Mosheh. And I see that together with Yiska's first right foot forward, together with Mosheh's first right foot forward, and with Mosheh's ability to overcome a tough beginning and move in the direction of flexibility and forgiveness, with God's help, they'll have both of the basic fundamentals that are necessary for marriage. You know, when we finish celebrating Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, then comes Sukkot. Because after we have a new good beginning, and we have a time of forgiveness, then we're ready to go and build a new home, build a new sukkah. And so I bless Mosheh and I bless Yiska and everybody here that this season of the year, the season of good beginnings and the season of forgiveness, should be the beginning of only positive time, and that in those few bumps that come along the way, they should find it within themselves to always rehabilitate every situation that they're in. And if they focus on this investment in the good beginning, and also with an eye towards always forgiving and moving forward, then with God's help, we'll all be able to celebrate together with them in their beautiful home. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Rabbi Shoshan. That was beautiful.
It was supposed to be here, but
our second speaker tonight is a rabbi at Neve. Please welcome Rab Bear.
my mother always told me you got to get up, speak up, and I'll change the language a little bit and then keep quiet. So my problem is this is the last one, but I'll try to do it as quick as I can. They always say it's a good place to start with a joke. There was a young gentleman who decided that he is going to go on a shidduch with Miss Perfect. So he was looking for perfection, and he came back from the first shidduch date. He was terrible, down in the dumps. After 20, he was more down in the dumps, and on the 21st time, he was double in the dumps. Why? He said he found her. So what's the problem? She's looking for Mr. Perfection. So ultimately, we know that perfection is only in Shemayim, but it's close to human perfection. With Chetzi Shvacha Lefaneha, Yiska fits plenty. I'll tell you a little bit about the young lady, and I'll honestly say I don't know anything about the young man, but I can only say that if she chose him, he's obviously got to be top stuff. There's a beautiful little book called The Pleasant Way by Rav Pam. And he brings with Eliezer when he had to go looking for a shidduch. And where did he go checking for the shidduch? It had to be where they're good middas. Why? Because middas go from one generation to the next. And my teacher, Mosheh Sternbach, told me that he once heard from the Chazon Ish what he's supposed to look for in a wife. First is that she has to honor the parents. If she honors the parents, she'll honor the husband. Well, I don't know about the parents, but definitely as one of the people who had what to do with Yiska, she has tremendous kvod for her rabbonim, and there's no question that she's going to make a wonderful wife. Second thing that he said, what one shouldn't look for is an action. Somebody is stubborn. Now, I can definitely tell you that Yiska is not stubborn, but she has a strong character, and she knows where to go in the right direction, and we only wish her all the best. I'm going to say one short thing, which it's a strange thing what's going to happen here. We've just finished crowning Hashem King over the world, and hopefully Yisroel Salanta says over ourselves. What's going to happen over here? We're going to have a queen for a week. And then you're going to have a king for a week. A good friend of mine, Rabbi Ephraim Polikov, once told me, you know what the secret of marital bliss is? He's got to see her and keep her as queen for the rest of his life. After a week, he must say he's no longer king. And she, for the rest of her life, must see him as being king. And she's no longer queen. If he looks to her like a queen and she looks to him like a king, and she makes him king and he'll make her queen, that's for sure sign of marital bliss. We know that Klal Yisrael are compared to stars. Avraham Avinu said your seed will be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Well, the Baal Shem Tov asked two strong questions. Number one, we have a pasuk in Ve'eschanan that says, we are ma'at ba'amim. So if we are ma'at ba'amim, so what does it mean? We're as numerous as the stars in the sky that you can't count them. And in reality, if we had the number of Yidden in Eretz HaKodesh, that you have Chinese on mainland China, so we'd walk straight and the Palestinians would have to get off the way. Now the bottom line is, so what is going on? The Baal Shem Tov says there's another aspect that cannot be counted. You look at a star, it looks this big. But in reality, it's many times bigger than the world. For our days, we know every one of us have to see ourselves, we're 50-50. One more mitzvah, we tilt our scales in the whole world this way. One more chalida the opposite way. Yiska is a rising star on the Torah firmament. Every single one of us have a choice either to be rising stars or chas v'chalila, with my penny sense of humor, a disaster. And she's definitely a rising star. I've one more piece of advice and two short brachas, because I already hear my mother's voice. I'm going to start with two jokes. I'm sure they're not applicable to anybody, but it is permitted to have a little bit of simcha in your life. If there's Hashem b'simcha. And I'm sure none of you will be able to answer the question. What bracha do you make on marijuana? Weed. Grass. What? Tfilas Derech. Very good. So some of you knew about it before? I add another one, that people in grass houses should not get stoned. But the bottom line is, a Torah, it says my teacher Moshe Shapiro in Kiddushin Beis Samad Beis, Torah